Lamborghinis and the Ferraris.
By the way, Yaakov, but you have to welcome a new person to the Daf. Zev Bald went through a name change.
Oh, is that what you put on there?
Not me. Wasn't me.
Very good. I like it.
Reb Zev, you're not muted. You could talk.
I can't hear you.
Does he see the name change, or just do we see it? That's the question.
It's like they're related or something.
That's very good. That's very good.
Zev, nobody could hear you.
He's not talking.
What?
Now
What?
we got you. We hear you. We hear you. Okay. All right. Chazor was yesterday. Yeah, Daf Kuf Aleph was yesterday. So we don't say koichai on Carmelis, right? So if you wanted to pour water off the boat into the water, so that's a grama. So that's only koyach. So we don't say koichai in a Carmelis, and it'll be okay. The only time we say koichai is in Rosh Hashanah. Carrying on a canoe, something that doesn't have a wide bottom. And then we said, when do we say good achas on a mechitza? That was Amud Aleph. On Beis, said we're more lenient with good achas by water than we are on land. And then the whole sugi of carrying from one ship to another if they're tied together, right? Which we had a Havamina that it's talking about two different people's ships, and then we said, no, it's talking about one person's ship. And then we said mechitzas that are made on Shabbos can be used on Shabbos, right? So if somehow a wall gets built around your property on Shabbos, then you would be able to carry that on Shabbos. And then boats can be tied together using any type of thread. It doesn't have to necessarily be a strong chain like it is by Tum and Tara. Fine. So now we're just finishing Make a Siyum tonight, Bez Hashem, on Hazoyrek, Perek Hazoyrek, and then we move from there. Yeah. So Hazoyrek, this Amud Aleph, Gershon is not here, and Akiva. Nope. Okay. Peretz, that looks good, man. Sheesh. Making me hungry that day. I don't know what you
I
eat.
actually washed on this, but it's pizza with tomatoes on it.
Oh, gewaldig. Okay. Anyways,
if what's his name? Both of them are not here. We may finish the daf much earlier. I can bring you some.
Well, let me tell you. That's why I was asking, because this Amud has got lumdis coming flying from all sides. This kuf beis Amud Aleph. So zok the Mishna, yeah.
Let's change the password.
Hazoyrek, if you throw something, the niskar me'achar sheyatzasam meyada, and you remember, you threw something b'shogeg, yeah? You're having a catch with somebody, and then a guy walks in your private property, right? And then you forget that it's Shabbos, which is probably the reason why you shouldn't be playing ball. That's a different shmooze for a different time. Right? And then a guy walks by on the street in the Rosh Hashanah and says, hey, throw me the ball. So without thinking, you throw him the ball, forgetting that it's Shabbos, and he's out of the Eruv. Then the second the ball leaves your hand, like going back with the sports Mishalom, right? That pitcher realized he just hung a curveball, and he just sees it in slow motion. Now, oh boy, that was not a good situation, right? So the same thing here. The guy throws it and says, oh boy, I forgot that it's Shabbos. But he remembers that it's Shabbos before the guy catches it, right? So Hazoyrek v'niska me'achar sheyatzasam meyada. He throws it and he remembers after it leaves his hands, kolta achar, or somebody else intercepts it, right? That's one pshat in that, but that's somebody else. The guy jumps in front of it and takes it. Kolta kelev, or a dog jumps in front of it. Oisha nisruf. We have, if anybody wants to see a dog, we have many with that own dogs on this daf. They are welcome to show what a dog is. Yes. Oisha nisrafa, or if it gets burned, I guess there's a fire and it somehow goes into the fire, then you're potter, right? Why? Because your shogeg has to be from the beginning of the mistake that you make till the end. If it's not, then you're potter. Zorah class is chabura. Let's say you throw something because you want to hurt somebody. Whether it was a person or whether you're trying to damage a behema, and you remember before it made the chabura, then you're going to be potter on that too. Now that's a much more difficult case, because what does that mean? You're throwing it to make a chabura, and then you remember what? That's going to be a chabura? No,
Who are you throwing it at?
What?
Who are you throwing it at? Isn't it an avera within itself?
Yes. Oh, so good, very good, very good. The Gemara is going to discuss that. So, right. So here you were throwing it to make a chabura, and you remember that it was Shabbos. That's what it is. It wasn't right. You remember that it was Shabbos. Rabban, you're muted. You're muted.
Not an Avera. He threw it in his cleanup hit at the inning before. It's not an Avera he threw with the guy.
Oh, he threw it out. He's throwing out his head? Is he throwing out his head?
No, not his head.
Just throwing out his body.
Just a purpose pitch, not in his
Yeah. Anyways, right. So then he was doing an Avera, to throw out a Chabura. You're saying it's not a Chabura. But we'll see that in the Gemara. Either way, you threw it to make a Chabura, and then when you remember that it's Shabbos, so it's an additional Avera. Certainly if it's at a person, it's an additional Avera. Right, so Zeh Klal, Kol Chayav Echatas, Ein Chayav Nachet Chilasam, B'Soif and Shkog. All Chayav Chatas are not Chayav until the beginning and the end is a shogeg. Chilas and Shkog B'Soif and Zadan. If the beginning is a shogeg and the end is a mazid, Chilasa and Zada and B'Soif and Shkog. And if the beginning is on purpose and the end is a shogeg, Beturin, it's Pater Achete Chilasa B'Soif and Shkog. This seems to be very repetitive, this Mishnah. Right? It's just pretty much said the same thing twice, right? But we're not going to complain because if it makes it clearer, then that's what we'll go with. But again, it's got to be tchilasan, soifan have to be shogeg. Yeah, fine. So that's the Mishnah. Hanacha chayiv. But so the Gemara asks, it's mashma from the Reisha that if it did come to rest in Rosh Hashanah, right? Then it's chayiv. Ba'aloi nizkar, but you remembered. Right? Didn't you remembered? And then if you remembered, then it became a mazid. Right? So what's a pshat? So Amar Rav Kahana Seifa son l'lachta umasna. The Seifa is talking about a lachta umasna, which is some sort of Rashi says it's a small piece of wood, right? That they use to tie up the loads on top of the animals. So, when you want to get it from one side of the animal to the other, so what you do is you throw it, right? You attach the string to something like a piece of wood, and you throw that wood from one side of the animal to the other, like this, the string goes around, then you go around the other side of the animal, grab it, and then go around. So basically what it is you're still holding it in your hand. So that's what the Gemara says. The Gemara asks the obvious question. Lachtu masna oigda v'yodayu. How can you say you're chayiv for throwing it? It's still, you're holding the other end of the string in your hand. So then the Gemara says, no, it's talking about it's not talking about throwing something dalet Amos or Shisaram. It's talking about where you were throwing something at an animal to make a chabura. So the obvious question to that is hanami tanina hazarik lasses chabura. If you're going to throw a chabura, to throw something to damage, bein bada ve'em niskar shaloi nasses chabura. And you remember before it made a chabur, you potter. Right? So now we have no pshat in the first line of the Mishnah exactly what the case is. Ela marava b'mavir. What it's talking about is not throwing, it's talking about carrying. Okay? Yes, so now since it's mavir, so therefore every step that you take is a new thing. It's not meaning throwing once it leaves your hand. Once it leaves your hand, the throwing, it's totally out of your control. But mavir, when you're walking, right? Every second that you're walking, you could remember and stop. Right? So that's what it's saying. But then the Gemara says, okay, well, zeh klal the katani has rika katani, but the rule that says zeh klal, that's going on throwing, not going on mavir. Yeah. Elo amarova, so now a different pshat. Elo amarova tarti katani. There's two different cases going on in the Mishnah. Hazarik, if somebody throws it in niskamei achashiyotzus amayodoi, and he remembers after it leaves his hands, inami. That's one case. Inami, another case, loy niskar. He doesn't remember. Okay, he doesn't remember. Meaning it's shogeg all the way through. He did not remember it was Shabbos. But v'kolta acher, somebody else grabbed it. Oy kolta keleb, or a dog jumped in front of the ball and took it, then you're going to be potter, right? So again, there's two. So according to this Pshat and Rava, the Mishnah is actually saying two totally separate halachos. The first one is you throw the thing and you remember after it left his hand. A. Then you're going to be potter because it wasn't fully the shogeg, because it was a shogeg and then in midair it became a mazid, but it was beyond your control. Or you didn't remember, you had no recollection, you totally forgot that it was Shabbos, but one of three things happened. Somebody else caught it, which means that it's shnayim sha'asu, right? That's two people that did it, like we had last week. So when two people do something, then you potter. Or a dog, which is also, or it got burned. So it got burned. It's as if it didn't land anywhere.
How is it it changes status post, if mazid and shogeg are done on the person, but once it's left his daled amos, like I can't figure out what his presence, has it changed status midair? I don't understand that.
No, it doesn't. You're right. That's what I'm saying. You're representing all the guys that would ask this question, right?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, all right. Why not? We'll take it. So how does it, what's the lumdus behind it? How does it change status? You started with a shogeg, your action is done with once it leaves your hand. That's what you're saying, right?
Once it's out of your control, I don't understand how it would go shogeg, mazid. Like,
right.
It doesn't make sense.
Because you need a hanocha, both.
What?
Shiakov, both.
No, you're right. You need the hanocha, right? But the maisa of the hanocha was already done when you threw it.
Yeah.
No, meaning when you threw it in the air, now you're a shogeg, right?
When I threw it, it was a shogeg, right? And it's going towards this guy. And I said, wait, that's the guy who hit my son yesterday. I hope it hits him in the face.
Right.
Open it, so it's became a
But really,
it became amazing.
But what changed? It was in the air the whole time. Nothing changed. Nothing really changed. Just your
Nothing.
mind.
His kavana changes. He had a kavana shogeg, and now it's a kavana. But Anach is amazing.
But Reb Aaron, the kavana of it is the mice of actually throwing it.
That's the akira. That's for the akira.
But once it leaves your hand, and there's literally nothing you could do about it, how is it going to change?
He's davening. The guy is davening so hard it should hit the other fellow.
It doesn't make a difference. That's post facto. That's like to use one of your examples. I swing a baseball bat and I'm not even thinking about it, and I hit you, and then all of a sudden, right before I hit you, go, God, I wish I connect with his head.
Yeah, so
right?
amazing.
But the intent before I was able to stop any type of action, the intent when I first started, and by the time before I was able to stop any action, it doesn't. You can't go. Oh, right. By the way,
told you can't do that? You have to. There's two parts to it. There's two parts to malacha. There's an akira and there's a hanacha.
Yes, but the hanacha is not on the guy that throws it, right?
Yeah. It's by you. You picked up the bat as the akira and you hit it. That's an hanacha. You did both parts of the malacha.
Uh-huh.
Can I butt in for a second?
Go ahead.
I think Simon is coming with coloroy labila.
Oh,
it's already,
We were already saying that this stuff, if there's a night that we're going to be happy that you're not here, it's for this stuff. I just have to let you know that we said that because this is right up your alley. This stuff is mamish for you. Yeah, go ahead. What are you saying?
If something is enabled to be done, it's as if it's done. It's a cross shots all over the place.
Right.
That's where Simon's bad sim coming from. Once it's left his hand, the hanacha's done already.
I still don't.
Excuse me, Gershon. Somebody shoots a bullet, and the guy moves out of the way. So did he kill him? He didn't kill him. The bullet went in the wall. What do you mean? It's done. It's not done.
But what was his intention?
What?
He doesn't get a electric chair for his intention.
Listen.
Yeah, but he's still attempted murder because his intention was murder.
It's not murder, so it's attempted. It's not murder.
Yeah, but it's not attempted.
These two guys are saying it's murder. It's not murder.
It's not attempted.
No.
Not attempted.
Carrying is carrying.
No.
He did hoitzah. The guy did hoitzah. Whether it was b'shogeg or b'mezid, that's the argument.
Baron, he doesn't get attempted ruining the wall. It's called attempted murder because intention was to murder the guy. He just missed. But it's not, everything's dropped, everything's fine.
So what?
You're arguing the wrong point. You're arguing the wrong point.
You agree with me.
No. You're arguing the wrong point. It's like guy shot someone.
Murder.
Let's go with murder.
I'm just arguing for the sake of arguing. Don't worry about what I have on point.
When the bullet left the gun, he didn't want to hit anyone. Now, right before it hits the guy, he says, I wanted to hit him. That's murder.
So what you're
That's what happened here.
You're all proving my point.
It's the opposite.
There's two parts to Haitzah. There's an Akira and a Hanocha. When you did the Akira, you didn't do the Hanocha. Simon saying he did the Hanocha. He didn't do the Hanocha. The Hanocha is when the king lands. There's nothing to do what his machshava was.
You're not doing anything different. The point is you're not doing anything different.
When he threw it, he wanted to be the Gadol Hadar. And when it landed, he was in Vegas playing craps table. What does one thing have to do with the other? They have nothing to do with each other.
It's not two. It's not two Misa. That's the mistake you're making.
It's one Misa.
It's one long Misa. That's what you have to say.
Akira and Hanocha is two parts of a Misa. It's not one Misa. Because
of course it's one Misa.
Excuse me, Gershon. What does the Mishnah say? The Oni did a Akira and the Balabas did a Hanocha. Right?
The Shnaim Shel Assur.
Right, it's two
That's
parts.
Shnaim Shel Assur.
If it's one thing, then that doesn't matter Shnaim Shel Assur or not. It's two different things.
Right.
I don't think you would say it's
all right.
I think you got to say it's one long Misa. That's the only way that happens. That's what I'm saying.
Are we going back
one long one?
Are we going back to the first Mishnayos where it's talking about the different hotzahs, and that if you only do one part of that hotzah, then you're putter? Is that
Aaron, I want to ask you something.
Aaron, hold on.
Your wife takes a steak out of the refrigerator and says, "Here's supper." That's supper. You gotta cook it. It's not supper.
Aaron, you're gonna have a heart attack, Khalila. Settle down for 1 second. 1 second.
Go ahead, son.
I'm asking a point of reference, so maybe I'm misunderstanding it. Because if you're saying there's two parts to the Misa, right? You're saying there's two parts to the Misa.
Not me.
Yes or no?
God said that. I didn't say it.
There's two parts to the Misa, and the first. It looks like Parrots wants to eat some popcorn watching this. There's two parts to Misa.
Pizza.
So, are we talking about we're carrying from rishus from one rishus to another? And if we're doing that, then it reminds me of the original Mishnah talking about there's two, but really four, and that if someone only hands it outside and then someone takes it, like the loaf of bread, and takes it from the homeowner's hands, he's putter, right? Is this a similar situation?
I hear. I don't know. I'm not sure. Because there it's also Shnaim Shel Assur. I hear it's an interesting tushta. All right, we got to get going though. Okay, we got to get going. Otherwise,
Myrev's at 10:30 tonight.
I think it's very simple. Wait, Jack. If you just say it's one long Misa, right? Then you could switch your mind in middle. That's simple. You don't have to get complicated here. Throw it down one long Misa. If you switch your mind in middle.
Yeah, but the question is, do you look at it? Do you look at the Misa? The question is, but the Misa, what Simon's saying is that the Misa is over. When you're throwing, the Misa
it's not over. If it's one long Misa until the Akira, it's part of the Misa.
I hear. All right, I hear. Well, okay, good. That's a good old disagreement.
They use that everywhere. That's the way out of everything. You make it one long Misa, right?
That's true. Yeah. Okay, very good. That's one shot. Next shot is Ravashi Omer Chasuri Mechsavach Itani. There's something missing from the Mishnah, and this is what the Mishnah is saying. Yeah? Hazoyrek v'nisko me'achashiyot semiyodoi. If you throw it and you remember after it left your hand. Kolta acher, somebody else grabs it, or kolta kelev, or a dog grabs it. Oy shenisrafa potter, it's potter. Hanacha chayiv. That's that. But if it did come to rest in the regular place, it's chayiv. So that was our whole kasha. What do you mean it's chayiv? He remembered midair that he made a mistake. So we say that's only if he went back and forgot again. That's only if he went. I mean, this guy's really forgetful. He forgot, he remembered, he forgot, right? But if he didn't go back and forget, then he's going to be potter. Okay, so that's Rav Ashi. Fine. Yeah, itmar shtei amas b'shogeg. Now we start with another lumdus. Okay, 2 amas b'shogeg, shtei amas b'mezid, and then shtei amas b'shogeg. Okay, this is almost like the guy we were talking about in the previous year with the making the bracha on rice cakes, made hamaitzi, and then he's eating bread. He didn't know which way he was coming or going. So this type of fellow, right? So shtei amas b'shogeg. Again, the first 2 amas he was a shogeg. Then he switched the next 2. I threw it 6 amas. The first 2 he did it by mistake. The next 2 he did it on purpose, and the next 2 he did it with 2 amas, right? With 2 amas b'shogeg. Rabba Amar Potter, Rabba Amar Chayav. Rabba says it's Potter, Rabba says it's Chayav. Rabba Amar Potter, he says it's Potter. Afilu Rabba Gamliel. Even according to Rabba Gamliel, to Amar, Ein Yediyah L'chatzi Shir. Even according to Rabba Gamliel, who says there's no such thing as Yediyah L'chatzi Shir. Now we had this once before, but let's just review it just to make sure we have it. So remember we said that if you do a bunch of isurim and one forgetfulness, right? Let's say you light a fire, or like we had yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, it's going to be weiter. Let's say you ate a piece of tray at the same on Shabbos, right? No, I'm sorry, that's a different case. You did on Shabbos. You lit a cigarette, and you also threw something. You threw a ball out of your house, right? So you did 2 different things. So if it's in one forgetting, so you're only going to be chayiv 1, right? If it's different forgetting, well. It depends how you learn it, but it's one forgetting. But what happens if it's chati shir, meaning you only did a half, and then you remembered the other half? For example, like we're going to have this later on, is if you write the minimum amount to be chayav for writing is 2 letters. So let's say you wrote 1 letter, then and you forgot it was Shabbos. Then you remembered it was Shabbos, and then you forgot a Shabbos again. You wrote the 2nd letter. Do we say that they don't combine, or would we say that they do combine? So Rav Gamliel says, Ein Yediyah L'chatzi Shir, where there's no Yediyah for Chatzi Shir, and therefore they would combine. Hasam hu dechi kagomer shiyura b'shogeg kagomer. There, when he finishes the shir, he did it b'shogeg. Halacha de b'mezid loy. But here, where there's a mezid in the middle, not. Meaning, when do you say Ein Yediyah to Chatzi Shir? That's when you end up being a shogeg. Both mistakes. Well, the mistakes is by definition shogeg, but both were shogeg. But here, where in the middle was a mezid, then we're not going to say that, right? So now what's the case? Either Zayrek, if it's Zayrek throwing Shogeku, right? It's a Shogeg all the way through, right? Because how can you say that he became a Mezid and then a Shogeg? Ella b'maver. You must be talking about where you're carrying it, you're not throwing it. Rabba Amar Chayiv, Rabba says Chayiv, Afilu Rabbanan da'amri yesh yediyah l'chatzi shir. Even according to Rabbanan who say there is a yediyah for chatzi shir, and therefore they would not combine. Hasam hu de biyadai. That's all when it's in his hand. Amalacha de ain't biyadai. Exactly what we were all disagreeing on now 5 minutes ago. But here that it's not biyadai anymore, loy. Then it's not. Uvamai even ma'avir hare biyadai. If we're talking about carrying, then it is biyadai, right? Vela b'zayrik. It must be it's zayrik. So Yossi, I don't know. This is saying it's not biyadai anymore. Throwing it is no longer biyadai. So, okay, we hear both ways. Fine. Amar Rabba. Zorak v'nacha b'pia kelev, right? If you threw it and it rested in the mouth of a dog, b'pia kivshon, or in the mouth of a kivshon is a fire, right? Chayev. It's chayev. Oh, but that's a stira. V'anantanan kolta achar, kolta kelev, I shouldn't have a potter. We have a mission that says exactly the opposite. So, hasam, delay mechavin, hacha dekam mechavin. No, there is where he didn't have kavanah. Here is where he did have kavanah.
Whose dog?
Okay. What?
Whose dog?
I don't think it makes a difference. I don't think it makes a difference.
Why?
You think it makes a difference?
If it's your dog, it's your property. You're not petting it. You're not. It's a toy.
See, I thought are you asking like if you're throwing it to your dog like people do, dog owners, do they want to throw it to the dog, or
Correct.
It was unintentional that the dog got it?
No, it's your dog.
So you mean, but you're having a catch with the dog? Is that what
Correct.
you're saying?
Yeah. I
hear. I'm assuming that the dog here is that it was not intended for the dog.
You would assume the Rebbe would assume that it's a straight.
Yeah, but you're right. If it would be a dog, if your kavana was to do it into the dog's mouth, then I think you would be chayav. I think. What does the Olam say? I think.
Does it make any difference? I mean, if you have a kavana to throw something, and it's not b'shgaga, and you have a kavana, and the dog is catching it, if you meant to throw it, then what's the difference?
Oh, I think that's exactly the Gemara's teretz here. I think you're right. Where you had kavana for it to go into the dog's mouth, you're going to be chayav, right? Whether it's your dog or somebody else's dog.
If you just threw something and let's say you just threw a frisbee, and all of a sudden a dog comes out of nowhere, regardless of your dog or someone else's dog, and jumps and catches it, then it's out of your control. You didn't mean to throw it there. That's one thing. But if you meant to throw it, then you've completed the action fully.
Right, so that's right. Exactly.
Even if you're holding of both mices, it's not one long misa.
Right, so that's the test.
You would still be chayav even if it was your dog as well.
Yes, 100%.
It doesn't make a difference.
Yes.
Why would it make a difference? You have an avera in mind, and you're meaning to do the avera, regardless of it could be your son.
Excuse me, Simon. Who told you he wants to do an avera? I want to throw something. I never wanted to land. I wanted to fly forever. Let's talk reality, though, Aaron.
You're right.
What happened?
He's right, though. If someone had that in mind, he would be potter from everything. He could be over Gilead right.
But it's not reality. It's not reality. You throw something, there's gravity, it goes down and hits the ground.
Right.
Or someone catches it. There's no applies forever.
I don't know. I never went to Notre Dame. I don't know.
Neither did I. I'm an idiot. Went to Shayoshev. What do you want me to tell you?
One second. Which part was that? Simon, which part? That's an idiot. Does that mean if you went to Shayoshev, you're an idiot? Or are you saying you happen to be an idiot that went to Shayoshev?
I happen to be an idiot that went to Shayoshev.
Oh, okay, good.
Sorry. Okay. But
Rashi says on a dog, by the way, it's because it's smaller than 4 tefachim in his mouth. Nothing to do with him and rishus and changing all that. That's
right.
No. So it doesn't matter whose dog it is then.
What if you throwing it?
It could. It's landing in the dog's mouth. It doesn't make a difference. But in his intention, let's say one dog jumps in front of the other dog, right? He intended it to go to a dog, his dog or somebody else's dog, and then another dog came and jumped it. What would be the din? It would be unintentional.
It goes into a dog's mouth regardless. If he wants to throw the dog, he's not chayav because it's smaller than 4 tefachim. So he'd be potter.
Right. So it's interesting. The Tosfos, the third Tosfos from the bottom, says an interesting thing because what's the term the Gemara uses? V'nocha b'pichel. Right. What is the lashon? V'nocha. Right. And it rested. V'nocha sounds like that was unintentional. So Tosfos takes out that word. He actually takes out the word v'nocha, and he says you're not geiris v'nocha, right? Because nocha sounds like it went by itself, and that's not what it's doing. Here is you're actually intentionally throwing it into the dog's mouth. Okay, listen, this is a geshmaka amud. You can spend many weeks on this amud, if not months. Yeah. Okay, weiter. I lost the place now. Okay, Amar Rav Bibi, right? Amar Rav Bibi, we also learned this same halacha. Yesh oichel achila achas, v'chayev ala dalet chatois, v'asham echad. You can eat one food, and you could be chayev 4 chatois and 1 korban asham, right? This is not this fellow's lucky day. Okay, hatame, the person is tame, sha'acha chelev, he ate fats, v'hu noiser, and it was left over, meaning it was too late already to eat the korban. Minam Mikdashim, it was nicer from Mikdashim, and it was Yom Kippur on top of everything, right? So you could be chayiv on 4 different things. Okay, so what does that have to do with our Gemara? Remeir Omer Afim Haisa Shabbos Vayitziu Bepiv. Even if it was on Shabbos, right, and he took it out in his mouth, chayiv. That's another one, right? Meaning he did all this while he was chewing it in his mouth. Amar Loi Einem Min Hashem. They said to him, this is not min Hashem, meaning that's not the 4 things that we're saying that he's chayav for eating are all eating isurim. This one is a carrying isur. It has nothing to do with the other 4. So meaning what the Gemara is not, it's not disproving him. The Gemara is saying, you would be chayav for chewing it and carrying it out, right? But the Gemara is only retort to what he's saying is that it's not part of the same group of isurim. Right? So Gemara says, why should he be chayiv? It's not the regular derech to carry food out in your mouth. Since you had kavana to chew it and carry it out in your mouth, right? So therefore, you made it in your mind as if that's the way to carry it. So since your machshava happened, therefore it's considered makom, right? Yeah. Since the person wants it to land in the dog's mouth, he is making the dog's mouth into a place that's 4 tefachim wide. Yossi, that's what you're referring to, right? Because meaning normally something has to land on something that's 4 tefachim wide. A dog's mouth is not 4 tefachim wide. So how can you say that a guy's chayiv if it goes into the dog's mouth, right? Again, we had two brises. We had a brise and a Mishna. One brise says you throw it in the dog's mouth, you're potter. The other brise says the Mishna says the Mishna says you throw it in the dog's mouth, you're potter. The brise says you throw it in the dog's mouth, you're chayiv. So we say, well, okay, one is somewhere where he did it intentionally to the dog's mouth, and one is unintentionally. Where he did it intentionally, he's chayiv. Oh, but it doesn't have dalit tefachim. The dog's mouth is not dalit tefachim unless it's a very, very large dog. Right? So therefore, we're saying, no, since his intention was for it to go into his dog's mouth, or a dog's mouth, I don't think it makes a difference whose dog it is, then that makes it like a mokam hanocha. So, and with the proof is from this Gemara here, that if he's chewing the food in his mouth, that's considered like carrying, because since he decided to carry out the food in his mouth, he was machshav it as a normal place to carry, and therefore he is going to be chayiv for that. Okay? And there's Tosfos, it's interesting Tosfos, the bottom Tosfos says that all these things happened at once. That he swallowed it, the beliyah, the swallowing is the hanacha, even though he's still walking. Okay, whatever it is, it's a very long dish stuff.
Why isn't Achshavei Makim self-defeating? If he turned his mouth into Rishus HaYachid, that means that the food is in Rishus HaYachid all the way through.
No, I think it's more.
It's not else. Less than 4 tefachim is a makom p'tur. More than 4 tefachim is Rishus HaYachid. So Achshavei Makim means he made it Rishus HaYachid. So now he just moved the Rishus HaYachid.
He just moved his Rishus HaYachid. Yeah, but since he planned on walking to Rishus HaRabim, so now his landing place moved with him.
If it's Achshavei Makim, the food is always in Rishus HaYachid.
No,
you can't say he took the food to Rishus HaRabim.
Yeah, that's what I don't know. I have no other way of understanding. I hear. I don't know. You're going to say he started on Rishus HaYachid and then he himself ended up in Rishus HaRabim.
Yeah, but the food has to move from one rishus to another to be considered carried from one place to another.
I hear.
Or you don't need the food. I don't know. I mean, him alone moving from one rishus to another rishus is enough to consider it carried, even though it didn't move.
Right. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. That's what you have to say.
Wow.
Yeah. I hear. Okay, let's see weiter. Yeah, Zok the Mishna. Habona. Now we start with a whole different. So now we're done with the carrying and the haitzah and all that. Now we're on to the next. Habona kama yivna v'yechayiv. How much do you have to build in order to be chayiv? Habona kol shehu. To build, it's just a kol shehu, meaning whatever small amount of building that you do that's enough. Mesatis, you chisel, right? I think that's what you touch. Mesatis is you're chiseling out. Rashi says you're squaring out stones, right? V'amaka b'patish, and hitting your. You're doing the final blow, right? That's the way we touch it. You finish something off, which we'll see in the Gemara. Uva matzad, and a matzad is also, a patish is a hammer, a matzad is also a different type of hammer. HaKodeach kol shehu, right? Or kodeach is drilling. If you make a hole in something, it's a kol shehu. Kol shehu chayiv. You're chayiv on a kol shehu. Zeh klal. Kol ha'osim malacha u'malachta miskayemes b'shaves chayiv. If you do a malacha and your malacha is permanent, and it will last, and it's not temporary, then you're going to be chayiv. Reb Shimon Gamliel omer af hamaka bekurnas ala sadan b'shas malacha chayiv meshu k'misaka malacha. See, this is an interesting din. So, meaning when you're using a hammer, so sometimes the hammer loses its, it gets ridges in it, right, from all the banging. So what you do is you bang it down onto like a piece of metal so that it fixes the hammer for you, right? So that's really nothing. That's really not building. All you're doing is improving your hammer, right? But Rav Shimon Gamliel says you're chayiv on that too, because that's like being misaken your malacha, right? It's even though that has, again, there's no building going on. All you're doing is smacking the hammer down on a piece of metal to fix your hammer, but we consider that a kimisaka malacha according to Rav Shimon Gamliel. So that's the Gemara kolshu l'may chazi. What are you doing with the kolshu of building? I mean, what's the minimum? They're saying there's no minimum. So what's it doing for you? Ani will dig a tiny little hole to hide his coins, right? And therefore that would be considered a baina kolshu. Now what we're going to get into is, okay, what did they do in the Mishkan for that? Right, baina had to be part of the Mishkan. So the Gavasel Gabi Mishkan. What was the similar case by the Mishkan? Shekain Taifer Yerias, Chayfrin Guma. The people that sewed the curtains would dig a hole latzniya b'machtein to hide their what do you call it? Their needles. Right. Abaya Omar Kivin the Mishtachi loy avdei hachi. Since it's going to get, what do you call it? It's going to get. They're going to get rusty. You stick your needles, right? The ureus was a fine art, right? To do that, you're going to take your needle, stick it into the dirt. It's going to get rusty. So how could that be? Even the Mishnah, they didn't do this. An ani would need to make, because an ani doesn't have big pots, so he's going to take this tiny little tripod to put it down on top of, to put his pot down on top of the fire. So an ani is going to need to take a little bit. He's going to have to build it a little bit, and that's why that's the smallest amount of building. So the Gemara said the Kavzel Gabi Mishkan. What are you going to do by the Mishkan? What's a similar case by the Mishkan? Mevashlei Samanin Litzvaya Yerias Shechasam Malachtan Oisin Pitput Kiro Ketana Lisvay Zaleh Yura Ketana. Right? The by the Mishkan, those that they cook the not the Samanim, not spices.
Dye.
The dyes, but there was, right, what would they make the dyes out of?
Incense.
Herbs, right, thank you, herbs, right? They took the herbs, the tzvaya ureas, to dye the ureas, shechasru malachta, that any meaning if some of the ureas lost some of their color, so they would just take a little pot, to take a few of the herbs, so that would be a very small amount. This is a gevaldige line, right? There's no anius for makam ashiris. There's no, when you're in a place of the wealthy, there's no anius. Now we could talk, now that we did lumdus, we could talk hashkafa on this one for the rest of the night if we really wanted to, right? But what it means is the Beis HaMikdash was something very, very holy and beautiful and all that. They didn't do anything small. That's basically, nothing was done in small amounts in the Beis HaMikdash. Here we're saying that they did these little pot. No. Now in the Beis HaMikdash, everything was done very grand. It was done in a grand style. What? Barafkas. There was no small amounts, right? So therefore, that can't be the pshat. Elo shekein balabais sheyesh le'nekav b'birosoi b'saismai. No, it's for a balabas who gets a little hole in his bira, in his palace, right? And he closes up that little hole. So the Kavazil Gabi Mishkan Shekein Keresh Shanofla Badarna Matav L'Seicha Ever V'Saismai. The Krushim, right, our good old Krushim that we discussed a couple of blot ago, the pillars that a darna of a snake, not a snake, a worm went into it. So what you do, we cannot have the Krushim have little holes in it. So they would put a little bit of aver in it. Is how do you touch aver?
Lead.
Good. Lead. They would put a little bit of lead into it. Thank you. V'Saismai, and that would close up the hole. Right, so Amar Shmuel, so therefore that's not called Aniyus B'Makam Ashirus, I guess, because why? Because it's just there to do improvements, right? Okay, I'm not sure I understand why this is also not B'Makam Ashirus. Okay, Amar Shmuel, Amatzades Evan Chayev. If you put a stone in the proper place, then you chayev. The way I'm understanding this is, those sidewalks that. What do you call brick sidewalks? The way they do it is they just wedge in bricks into the sidewalk. There's
cobblestone.
cobblestone, thank you, or something like that. So then you do that, you're chayiv. So we have a kasha from a brayso because one person puts down the stones and one person puts down the tit really means mud, but it means cement. The one who puts the tit is chayiv. So why? We just said the guy putting down the stone is chayiv. That's also a form of building, right? You're putting the stones into the sidewalk. But okay, so according to you, Amos Sefer, even if you take a stone and you put it on top of a pile of stones, you're chayiv. So how do you understand that? Elo. So we answer this tlasa binyane hava. There's three different levels of building. Tata, Metzia, Va'ila. There's the bottom, there's the middle, and there's the top. Tata, the bottom level, Bait Stude, Va'afra. If you're going to put in the bottom, so you need to put the stone there, and you also need dirt, because it's going to be the base. Metzia, Ba'ina, Mitina. And the middle one is going to need even mud or cement. And Ilah, Ba'anocha Ba'alma. And the top is just going to be Hanocha Ba'alma. So basically, whatever level you're doing of placing these stones, that's the way you're going to be chayiv. So if it's the bottom one, you would have to use you'd have to use a stone with some dirt, right? If it's the middle one, you would need to use cement in order to be chayiv. And if it's the top, just throwing a stone down on top of it is going to be a problem. Okay, right? Chiseling masatis v'shemayim chayiv. Why are you chayiv for chiseling? Which one of the 39 malachas is chiseling? Rav says it's for building. It's because of makabeh patish. Okay, meaning that's the last thing that you do. Now that the makabeh patish requires a lot of understanding, but it's not really the sugi here, because every time you finish something, it's makabeh patish. Makabeh patish is just like a phrase, not a phrase. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a adjective, not an adjective. It's a mushal.
It's a concept. It's a concept within building.
Oh, there we go. We got Reb Simon and Reb Aaron saying the same thing. There we go.
Oh, we agree now.
I was about to say they actually agree on something. Look at that. You see what a Daf Gemara could do?
We also agree that beards are awesome. Just want to.
I guess so, and nobody can deny that. Nobody can deny that.
Okay, who wore it better? That'll be on the next.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so it's a concept, right? So why isn't every time you do a malacha makabeh patish, right? You're finishing something, right? Makabeh patish just means the final hammer blow. That's the way it's translated, right? So it's the same thing. Okay. So if you make a hole in the lul shatar negolim, in the chicken, a house for chickens, so you need to make a hole in it. So otherwise, like Rashi says, the smells. This is where you see that, don't they say the gases from the cows and all that is making the, what do you call it? The greenhouse effect, right? So here too, if you didn't poke a hole in the lul shatar negolim from all the feces and all that from the chickens, it's going to blow up the whole, they're all going to die. So anyway, so you make a hole in lul shatar negolim, Rava Mishum Baina. What's the issue? All you do is poke a hole in a wall. What's the problem? Rava says it's Baina. Shmuel says Mishum makabeh patish. Right? Ayil, yeah. So that's yeah. And then one other case, Ayil shufsa bekafina demara. If you take if you have a hole in your, what do you call a mara? A mara is a hoe or like a shovel, right? Rav Mashum, and you put something in there to fill in the hole of there's a hole in your hoe, right? So you put in a little thing in there. So Rav Omar Mashum Baina, Shmuel Omar Mashum makabeh patish. Yeah, V'tzrichan, you need all three cases. Diashmina kamaisa bahi kamar Rav Mashum the derech binyan bekach. In the first case of chiseling, that's the way you build. You chisel cement, rocks. I'm sorry. Making a hole in a chicken coop fence, not a fence, but in a building of a chickens. That's not called building. So maybe L'Shmuel, maybe he would say that he smited the Shmuel at makabeh patish. Maybe making the hole in the chicken box is because that's since you need the air, so it's similar to building. But to put this thing, this little piece into the hoe, that's not building. Aim a Moidel Shmuel, he would be Moidel Shmuel, and it's Makar Patish. Fine. V'yashmina Baha. Maybe you said the Ho Baha Kamar Shmuel. That's what Shmuel says is Makar Patish. Abu Bahanach Tarti. But the first two, which have to do with building, poking a hole in the chicken box and chiseling out rocks, that has to do with building, not Makar Patish. Aim a Moidel Rab. So then maybe he would be Moidel Rab. So therefore, we have to say all three of these cases that tell us that in all these scenarios, Rav says it's because of Baina, and Shmuel says it's because of Makar Patish. Okay, shkoyach everybody, and akutana, stay safe. Got to run to Meyer.
Hi, I'm on the Perek.
Shikoyach, I apologize for
No, Adarabba. We Adarabba. Yeah, it was good.
Parrots.
All right, Zagadan.
Yeah.
Parrots. So in Rashi, just above the Bach, Mitzadet Esa Evan. I guess you don't got it.
I closed my Gemara a long time ago. Yeah, go ahead. I'll trust you on this one.
So when I learned this with Reb Yaakov, when we learned it in the morning a few months ago, it talks about how you straighten out the ground. That's what there's a long Rashi. He says you straighten out the ground before you put up a building. You make sure the ground is perfectly flat. Okay. When we were learning this in the yeshiva, February 1st, there was an article within a day of that learning. There's an article in the Wall Street Journal about when they put on the grass for the Super Bowl, they first flatten out the ground perfectly straight to make sure when they lay the grass, it was mamish from the Rashi. It was the same day as we learned that Rashi.
Wow.
Yeah, it was good.
Wow. But they do that also in baseball, no?
No, but there's football special because they own, they got to do the whole 100 yards and everything. No, but before they do the Super Bowl, they bring in the special grass and they flatten out the ground. Baseball they play every day, every other day, whatever it is.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah,
but I like the muscle where they spray the ground first. Remember that we had that a couple of Daf ago?
Right.
Yeah. But it's true. You see them like we went to the AAA game. And
I used to see them when I worked there, so I was there way before getting first pitch. So that's what.
Yeah, but it's heavy duty water. It's not like you think they're spraying it.
Yeah, it's heavy duty.
They've got to schlep the hose. It's a good probably inch and a quarter hose.
Right. Now it's very big. The field is very big.
Yeah.
Okay, go down.
I'm on my way.
Okay, so I speak to you soon.
Good night. Good night.
Right.